The call came on a gray Thursday afternoon, the kind of day where the city of Port Lorne seemed permanently bruised by clouds, and everyone hurried along sidewalks with their shoulders hunched from habit rather than rain. Serena Vale was in the middle of sorting client invoices when her phone vibrated with a number she didn't recognize. A local number, but not one she'd ever seen. She almost let it ring out. Unknown numbers usually meant telemarketers or clients who thought urgent meant they'd mislaid a file from 2019, but something, instinct, fate, or perhaps the quiet echo of her father's voice, made her swipe to answer. "Is this Serena Vale?" The voice was gravelly, cautious, but not unfriendly. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name's Angelo Bruni. I own Bruni's Exchange on Harbor Street. Pawn shop. Your name came up today in a way I figured you'd want to know about." Serena blinked, confused. "My name came up? How?" There was a pause, not long, but just long enough for her stomach to tighten. "You're the daughter of Victor Vale, right? Passed away last year?" Serena's breath stalled. "Yes. Why?" "Because his watch, one he must have cared about, it showed up here today. A Lusier chronomark. Rare piece. Engraved initials. The guy who pawned it claimed ownership, but the way he talked and the condition of the piece." A sigh crackled over the line. "I just didn't buy his story." Serena felt cold sweep down her arms. The Lusier chronomark hadn't been just any watch. Her father had worn it every day for 24 years. He'd told her once, when she was 8, that it reminded him time was something you spent only once, so spend it wisely. She kept it in the top drawer of her office desk. Locked drawer, always locked. "Who brought it in?" she asked, though dread was already building a shape she recognized. Name on the form was Milo Hart. Her stepbrother's name, her mother's new husband's son. The slacker who had spent the last 3 years drifting through jobs, never landing anywhere, always coming home to complain about life's unfairness, even while eating the groceries. Serena paid for half the time. She gripped the edge of her desk. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. I'll hold it for you. Bring ID." She hung up in a daze, the office around her dissolving into background static. Her boss, kind but profoundly oblivious, was still on a conference call. Serena scribbled a note, grabbed her coat, and left before she could lose her resolve. Port Lorne's traffic was a snarl of commuters squeezing between waterfront construction zones and the usual afternoon chaos. But Serena drove like someone on the edge of unraveling. When she pulled up in front of Bruni's Exchange, the neon sign buzzed faintly, casting a flickering gold glow over the sidewalk. Inside, the shop smelled of old wood and metal polish watches, rings, guitars, antique radios, the usual scatter of forgotten lives, filled glass cabinets. A man in his 60s with silver hair and heavy eyebrows stepped from behind the counter. "You must be Serena." "Yes," she breathed. "Please tell me you have it." He nodded, walked to a safe behind the counter, and returned with a velvet-lined box. He opened it carefully. There it was. Her father's chronomark, the brushed steel case, the faded blue dial, the initials VV engraved on the clasp. Her chest tightened painfully. "Proof of ownership?" Angelo asked gently. She handed him his father's estate inventory papers, along with a photo from 3 years ago, Serena and her dad sitting on a park bench, his hand resting on her shoulder, the watch gleaming on his wrist. Angelo inspected them, nodded, and closed the box. "It's yours," he said. "I knew it the second you walked in." Serena swallowed. "What Did Milo say anything?" "Only that he needed fast cash. He didn't seem troubled that someone else's name was engraved on the back." Angelo hesitated. "Look, I shouldn't get in family business, but something about this didn't sit right. It felt like betrayal." The word hit too close. She thanked him and reached for the watch, but Angelo didn't hand it over immediately. Instead, he turned it in his hands with a frown. "Mind if I show you something?" "I didn't tamper with it, just noticed something unusual." Her heartbeat tripped. "What is it?" He pressed his thumb against the crown, then angled the clasp a certain way. With a faint click, a hidden seam opened in the watch's case, something Serena had never seen in her life. Inside the tiny concealed compartment was a minuscule folded scrap of paper, a note. Serena's knees weakened. Angelo gently placed it in her hand. "I figured it wasn't my place to read it," he said, "but someone put it there carefully." Hands trembling, Serena unfolded the paper. Her father's handwriting, unmistakable, swept across it in tight, precise letters. "If you're reading this, Sarah, it means the right time has finally come. Go to safe box 312 at Harbor Vaults. Code, the day we rebuilt the old radio. I love you. Dad." Serena froze, breath knocked from her lungs. The day they rebuilt the old radio. She remembered it instantly. She'd been 14. They'd spent the entire rainy afternoon on the kitchen floor surrounded by wires and screws. The date was seared into her memory. June 14th. "Are you all right?" Angelo asked softly. Serena nodded, barely holding herself together. Thank you for calling me." He waved a hand. "Some things matter more than a quick sale." She left the shop with the watch clutched in her hand and a storm inside her skull. Her stepbrother had stolen the watch. Her mother or stepfather must have let him into her office. There was no other explanation. And now this note, a secret her father had left, one she hadn't even known existed. Her father had been meticulous, private, a man who prepared for everything except the illness that took him too quickly. But this was something he'd planned deliberately. She drove straight to Harbor Vaults, her pulse hammering. The security staff led her to safe box 312 after she provided her father's death certificate and her own ID. She typed 0614 into the keypad. The light blinked green. Inside the box was a sealed envelope with her name on it, a leather-bound journal, and a stack of bearer bonds totaling $160,000. Serena stared, stunned. Her father had left her a hidden legacy. Her father who never said much, but always did everything quietly, intentionally, lovingly. Tears blurred her vision as she opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, long, handwritten, and heartbreakingly gentle. "My Serena, if life worked out the way I hoped, I would have told you all this myself, but time moves in ways we don't expect, and you deserved more than uncertainty. These bonds are yours. No one else knows about them. The journal is a record of money I lent to people, some friends, some family, who promised to repay but never did. Whether you collect those debts is your choice. I don't judge either way. More important than all of this is what I hope for you. Choose your own path. Don't let anyone claim your time, your work, your heart without earning it. You've always given more than you received. I want you to change that. Love, Dad." Serena pressed the letter to her chest, sobbing silently in the sterile vault room. Her mother had remarried 6 months after the funeral. Her step-family treated Serena like an ATM with legs or an inconvenience in the home her father had bought. She'd stayed because she wanted to believe there was still some remnant of family left somewhere, but they had stolen her father's watch. They had pawned it for cash. They had crossed a line there was no coming back from. She gathered the box's contents and left Harbor Vaults with a clarity she hadn't felt in years. She drove home, their home, and walked into the kitchen where her mother, stepfather Raymond, and Milo were seated around the table eating leftover pasta that Serena had cooked 2 nights earlier. Milo looked up first, eyes widening in surprise and guilt. "Oh," he said, "you're home early." Serena held the watch up between 2 fingers, letting it dangle like the evidence it was. Her mother blinked. "Honey, where did you—" "You know exactly where I got it," Serena said, voice calm but icier than the sea wind outside. "From the pawn shop where Milo sold it, the watch Dad left me. The watch that was in my locked desk drawer." Milo sputtered. I just— "You had a key," Serena said, "and you knew exactly where the watch was. You've gone through my things before. Don't bother lying." Her mother stood, hands raised. "Serena, sweetheart, calm down." "No," Serena said, "not this time." Raymond leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms like he was watching a TV drama. "It was just a watch. Milo needed money. You're doing fine. You have a good job." Serena stared at him, stunned at the casualness. It was my father's, she said. The one person who actually cared about me without asking for something in return. Silence heavy, suffocating. Her mother opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. We thought you wouldn't notice. Serena let out a breathless, disbelieving laugh. You stole from me, and then you thought I wouldn't notice. We were going to replace it, her mother snapped, suddenly defensive. Eventually. Serena didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. You're all going to pay me back. Milo scoffed. With what money? Serena met his eyes. That's not my problem, and I'm not asking, I'm telling you. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. Her mother looked horrified. A lawyer? Serena, please, this is family. No, she said simply, it's not. She turned toward her room. I'm moving out tonight, she added, and I'm done with all of you. Behind her, her mother begged, Milo cursed. Raymond muttered something about ungrateful brats. Serena didn't look back once. In the span of 24 hours, her entire world had cracked open, but instead of falling, she felt herself finally stepping into something solid. She packed her suitcase, slid her father's watch onto her wrist, and left the house that had never felt like a home. She wasn't sure where she would sleep that night, but for the first time since her father died, Serena Vale wasn't afraid of the future. She was ready to take it back. Every hour, every day, every piece of herself she had handed over to people who never deserved it, and she wasn't done. Not even close. Serena didn't sleep much that night. She checked into a small hotel near the marina, nothing fancy but quiet, clean, and hers. She sat on the bed with her father's watch resting on her wrist, the weight of it grounding her even as her thoughts churned. She read the letter again and again until the edges felt warm from her fingertips. She read pieces of the journal too, names she recognized, surprising ones she didn't, people her father had helped when they were desperate, people he trusted, people who had quietly walked away without repaying a cent. She understood it now. This wasn't just money. It was a map of every hidden burden her father had carried without complaint. A map of who had taken advantage and who had simply forgotten gratitude. Her father had kept it private all those years, not out of resentment, but because he never believed in burdening others. He'd left it to her not as a demand, but as a choice. She slept only a few hours before waking in the early dawn with clarity. The first thing she did was call a lawyer, Alessia Grange, recommended by a coworker. Alessia's tone was crisp and sharp, efficient, but warm when needed. Serena told her everything, from the theft of the watch to the pawning to the years of manipulation and financial pressure. When she finished, Alessia exhaled slowly. This is a genuine case of property theft and financial exploitation, she said, and you have proof I'll handle it. You won't need to speak to them again. Serena closed her eyes in relief. Thank you. While I prepare the papers, Alessia added, start making arrangements for yourself. Move into a place that's yours. A clean slate. A clean slate. The words felt like cool water on a burn. Serena spent that morning touring apartments, places she wouldn't have dared look at a week ago. She had always told herself she didn't deserve luxury, didn't need it, didn't want to draw attention to herself. But standing there, seeing wide windows and sunlit living rooms, she realized something important. She didn't want luxury. She wanted space that didn't carry anyone else's fingerprints. She wanted air that was hers to breathe. She found a loft overlooking the East Harbor exposed brick. Tall windows framed by soft gray curtains. Enough room for her books, plants, and something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. When the agent asked if she wanted to apply, something inside her steadied. I'd like to pay in full, she said. The agent blinked. In full? Yes, she said, today. The bearer bonds were discreetly processed and redeemed. Serena walked out owning her home outright, her father's watch glinting under the warm afternoon sun like a quiet approval. The next step was the journal. Some debts were small, some large. A few names were already crossed out, people who had made good on their promises, but many were not. She didn't plan to shame anyone or drag them through courts. She emailed politely worded reminders, attached copies of the handwritten records, and clearly stated repayment terms. Some responded immediately, embarrassed they had forgotten. Some apologized profusely, a few sent back more than they owed. Others, predictably, tried to dodge responsibility. She forwarded those responses to Alessia, who found that legal pressure often worked miracles. Within a month, Serena had recovered more money than she expected, but it wasn't just about the finances. With every person who repaid, every boundary she enforced, she felt a small slice of herself knitting back together. What surprised her most were the people who reached out not with excuses, but with memories. Stories about her father she never heard before, how he fixed a neighbor's car free of charge, how he covered a friend's rent during a layoff, how he spent weekends refurbishing old radios for kids who wanted to learn tinkering. Each story was a piece of him she'd never been given, and each made her feel less alone in the world. Her mother did not reach out at all. Whether out of pride or fear, Serena didn't know. She didn't care. Milo sent 3 furious texts demanding to know why she had ruined his life. Followed by one half-hearted apology clearly typed under pressure, Raymond sent a voice message pretending to be conciliatory, but Serena deleted it mid-sentence. They had chosen the path that led to losing her. They could live with the consequences. Weeks passed. Serena settled into her loft. She decorated it with things that reflected her, not her mother's taste, not Raymond's scowls, not Milo's chaos. She hung her father's tools on a display board above the workbench she built herself. She repaired the old radio that had sparked the code to the safe box. She planted a lemon tree on the balcony, despite knowing Port Lorne's winters would test it. She wanted to see if something fragile could still thrive. For the first time, her home felt like a place she didn't want to escape. Her confidence, long depleted, came back in pieces. At work, she stopped apologizing for existing. She took on bigger projects. She negotiated a raise. She stopped letting coworkers dump extra tasks onto her because you're good at organizing things. She signed up for a weekend ceramics class, something she'd always wanted but never had the space or quiet for. The watch stayed on her wrist every day. Every time she checked it, she felt that hidden click, that reminder from her father that time was hers now. Truly hers. Then one evening, as the sky turned rose gold over the harbor, someone knocked on her loft door. She knew that knock before she opened it. Her mother stood there, smaller than Serena remembered, gaunt around the eyes, shoulders hunched, not from weather, but from weight. "Serena," she whispered, like a plea stretched too thin. "Please, we need your help." Serena didn't invite her in. She didn't step aside. She stood in the doorway, blocking entry without a word. Her mother wrung her hands. "Raymond's business is failing. Milo lost his job. We're behind on the mortgage. I know things were messy, but we're family. You can't just abandon us." Serena watched her for a long, quiet moment. She felt grief. Not for them, but for the years she had spent trying to be loved by people who only reached out when they wanted something. "You have a lawyer," her mother added, her voice tightening. "She sent us notices. We don't have the money. Please, Serena, I'm asking as your mother." "You stopped being my mother," Serena said softly, "the day you let your son steal my father's watch." Her mother flinched as if struck. "I'm not here to fight you," Serena continued. "And I'm not here to save you. I've spent my whole life trying to fix other people's messes. That ends today." Tears welled in her mother's eyes. "Then you're really leaving us with nothing?" "You left me with nothing long before today," Serena said, "and I built everything I have now on my own." Her mother tried to speak, failed, then turned away and walked down the hall, shoulders shaking. Serena didn't chase her. She didn't apologize. She didn't fold in on herself the way she used to. She closed the door gently and locked it. She made tea. She stepped onto her balcony, watching the lights of fishing boats glimmer across the water. The lemon tree rustled beside her in the breeze. She touched her father's watch and felt the hidden compartment beneath her fingertips. Her father had given her more than money, more than instructions. He had given her permission to choose herself. As the night settled over Port Lorne, Serena finally understood that legacy wasn't always something grand or loud. Sometimes it was quiet, steady, a compass hidden inside an old watch, a letter that arrived at exactly the moment it was needed, a reminder that time, once lost, couldn't be reclaimed. But it could be reclaimed going forward. She took a deep breath, letting the cool, salt air fill her lungs. She wasn't defined by who had betrayed her. She wasn't shaped by who failed to protect her. She was built from the man who had loved her without conditions, who believed she could make her own way, who trusted her with secrets meant to guide her toward a future better than the one she'd been enduring. Serena Vale was done surviving. She was living now, and every second of her time belonged to her.